Well, a very, very happy Friday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show, San Diego Sports Talk. And I want to give you a heads up. If you're out and about, you want to log in, make sure you go to San Diego Sports Talk, John Kentera Show. Go live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And again, we would ask you to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to build our viewers up, and we're doing very, very well. It's been a fun year. I've been doing the show a little over a year now, but we've continued to grow and expanding. And you know what's really cool is we're able to do things on our program that program directors don't want you to do on local sports talk radio. And that's talk about a variety of different things. Now, we talk a lot about the Padres this time of year, but we're going to get into Aztecs and we're going to get into a little Aztec football today. We're also going to talk here about the races. They open up today, and we'll tell you about that. But I want to go back to the other night. The other night, rather than doing our usual Wednesday morning 9 a.m. show, we decided, because you folks had sent me messages that you wanted me to do a night show during the All-Star break. Well, I thought no better time to do the show during the All-Star break is right after the All-Star game. And man, what an All-Star game it turned out to be. I know there are a lot of people that didn't like the way it ended. I've had to kind of recondition myself a little bit to the All-Star game from when I grew up. Everybody wanted to win. And guys were in there playing more than, a couple of innings, more than one at bat. They were playing, 6, sometimes even 9 innings. But you know what? It's all about entertainment. It's about what the fans want. Players don't want to pitch too much. They don't want to play too much. They want to get a little R&R. They do want to have some fun with their families, being able to go to the All-Star game. So we've had to kind of, and I can speak for myself, had to dial it back a little bit and realize it's really an exhibition game. And the way it ended, I kind of was disappointed at the beginning, but then the way it ended was fantastic. I mean, what Kyle Schwarber did for the National League, that was really amazing. I mean, with all the pressure in the world coming to the plate and having to, take 3 out of the ballpark, and they end up winning it 4-3. That's pretty impressive. It looked like the players kind of got into it. Yeah, we'd love to have had Ohtani. Yeah, we'd have loved to have had Aaron Judge a part of that, but you couldn't ask those guys to come back and swing after they, came out of the game, cooled down. And in some respect, a lot of guys were already in the shower room getting their street clothes on. So it ended up at least not in a tie. Let's put it that way. And if that's the way they're going to break it, so be it. And I was okay with it. And I didn't change my sleep pattern. I slept very well on Tuesday night. Now, the one thing I do want to put a kibosh on and really put my thumb on this one. I heard people on Wednesday and again yesterday saying, well, maybe that's the way they should do it in the regular season. After 9 innings, the ball game tied, rather than put the Manford man or ghost runner, whatever you want to call that guy that goes out to second base, on second base in the top half of the 10th inning. Maybe I just have home run derby. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I think that's a little bit more fair, and I'm going to tell you why. I think when you're the visiting team in the 10th inning, you're at a major disadvantage because you've got to play for multiple runs. And because if you don't play for multiple runs, and let's say you don't score, the other team, then they can play old-fashioned baseball. Bunt a guy up, sacrifice fly, ball game over. So the visiting team has to play for multiple runs because if they only score one, the tying run comes to the tying runs at second, the winning runs at the plate. So the home team has a tremendous advantage in extra innings, the way I see it. Now, maybe you see it a different way, but I don't know how you could see it a different way. But anyways, getting back to the All-Star game, I thought it went well. Wish the Padre guys would have performed a little bit better. Manning made a nice play at third, but 0 for 2, struck out twice. First player in baseball history during an All-Star game to get called out on the automatic ball strike situation. He got punched out there by Tarek Skubal in the first inning. struck out his other at bat. Fernando walked, stole a base, scored a run, but he struck out twice. Morejon gave up 2 earned runs. Suarez gave up 2 earned runs. The only guy that did a good job, and he faced one batter, struck out the batter, was Jason Adam in the second inning, coming in for Clayton Kershaw. And a lot of people really like Kershaw talking with Smoltz and Joe Davis during the broadcast. He wasn't out there very long, but he was awful good. But overall, the All-Star game was very enjoyable for me, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll tell you what, we had an incredible show the other night. If you missed the show, go online and listen to it. People were fired up. Really an incredible baseball game for what it was, an exhibition game. So there you have it. Okay, I want to get into Del Mar. I was down at Del Mar yesterday, checking things out there, fast at work. Going to be the 86th summer season of the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. And I, for one, I grew up basically at the racetrack in the summer. My dad liked playing the ponies. We went down there quite a bit. I was a young boy in the mid to late 60s, going there 2-3 days a week. In those days, they didn't take Monday and Tuesday off or Wednesday off. They pretty much rode almost every day. I think Mondays were off. But I would go to the paddock area and talk to Bill Shoemaker, Rudy Campus, Don Pierce, Jerry Lambert, a lot of those great jockeys of the 60s and 70s. I remember my mom got me out of school the day that Bill Shoemaker was going to break the all-time wins record of Johnny Longden. I happened to go to school with 2 of Johnny Longden's grandchildren. And so I've got a great history down at the racetrack. My dad loved going to the track. Mom would go quite a bit. My brother, after he retired from the sheriff's department, became the director of security for 10 years at the Del Mar racetrack. So I really look forward to it. A lot of my buddies I went to school with at Torrey Pines, they still hang out at the track today. And today, of course, the beautiful people show up today. And I used to talk our radio stations into letting me go out there and broadcast from opening day. Love talking to Joe Harper and Mac McBride, guys that have been there at the track for many, many years. It's a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people walking around there today, opening day, and it'll be crowded. If you don't have tickets, I think they've got a few tickets left. You can go to their website, check it out, but it's going to be another great season. No doubt about it at Del Mar, and I'm looking forward to getting out there and having some fun. Okay, we're going to get to the Padres second half. And man, I look at the Padre Ball Club right now and where they're at, 5.5 games back of the Dodgers. And, I don't see them winning the division. I didn't see anybody but the Dodgers winning the division when we started the season. The Dodgers have dealt with a lot of injuries, and they're still 5.5 games up. They're 19 games over 500. That's after losing 7 in a row prior to the final series before the All-Star break. And, I kind of look at the Padres now with the trading deadline coming down on July 31st. What are they going to do? I want to share some numbers with you, though. I think these numbers I need to throw out, and then we're going to talk about, what you're willing to give up to try to make a playoff run. Okay, again, the trading deadline coming down on July 31st. Padres right now sitting at 52 and 44. They're clinging to that third and final wild card in the National League. And we're going to go through the standings a little bit later on, and we'll show you exactly where they're at. So far this year, the Padres at Petco Park are 31 and 18. On the road, they're 21 and 26. And I want to take you through their months. Okay, I think this is very important to see where this ball club's at. They started out early. They went 5-0 in the month of March. Then they had a really nice April, 14 and 11. And then May hit, 13 and 13. June, 13 and 15. And right now in July, 7 and 5. So if you take a look at where the Padres are at right now, they've been a 500 ball club, exactly a 500 ball club since May 1st. Okay? And to me, they've been very mediocre. Very mediocre. They've got some serious issues right now, serious issues with this ball club. And I think the question that I would ask you this morning, how much are you willing to give up in a trade to make the playoffs? And we're going to get to questions early today. So if you've got your answer, dial them up. Dial them up. How much are you willing to give up in a trade to make the playoffs? And you really have to look at the big picture of this ball club. How well is this team playing? Mediocre. Since May 1st, very mediocre. In fact, since May 1st, they're 33-33. Okay, is that a playoff team? Now, I know March and April, they got off to a great start, but I mean, this is not a small sample size. This is a 66 game sample size, 33-33. It's like kissing your sister, a tie. Major hole offensively with the catching position, and I don't know how you're going to solve that. I really don't. I mean, who's available out there that's going to be a whole lot better? You know, you may get a guy that swings the bat a little bit better, but you may give up a little bit defensively. But I'll be honest with you, where this team is at offensively behind the plate, I'm willing to give up a little bit defensively. It's not like Martin Maldonado and Elias Diaz or Johnny Bench. So I'm willing to give up some stuff defensively. Now we can talk about Luis Campusano, who, by the way, got optioned back to AAA. He came up for that Sunday game, went 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, and an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. He came up for Gavin Sheets. And congratulations to Gavin Sheets and his wife. They had their first child this past weekend. And so Gavin's back with the ball club now in Washington, and Luis Campusano rejoins El Paso. But if next time you bring up Campusano, if you bring him up, let the guy catch. Let the guy catch. Well, you know, we know what he's all about. Put him behind the plate. What do you got to lose? And maybe he'll start swinging the bat a little bit better. He's 0 for 21. 0 for 21. He's got as many hits as you and I do, which is amazing to me because he's not a bad hitter and been tearing it up all year long in the PCL and was a 250 career hitter in the big leagues until this year. Padres have really devalued him a great deal. And I don't know what the rub is there. I don't know if Schultz doesn't want to play him behind the plate or AJ saying don't play him behind the plate. I don't know what the deal is on that. But he's no use to you as a designated hitter because he doesn't get into the flow of the game. And maybe even if he's catching, he won't get into the flow of the game. So you're probably going to have to go outside the organization to get some catching help. And I don't know what's out there. I mean, I don't see anybody great because I look at the catching position right now in the major leagues not being all that great. So if you got a good catcher, man, hang on to him. But major hole offensively behind the plate. They definitely need another bat. And they need a catcher and they need another bat because they need a DH. I mean, Gavin Sheets, we sat here for weeks and weeks and weeks going, man, they need a left fielder. Hey, Gavin Sheets doing a hell of a job out there. He gotten a whole lot better. And it's amazing hard work and getting out there, at 2:30 in the afternoon and working on taking fungos, taking balls off the bat during BP, working on your first step, opening up, going to the gap, backhanding the ball, going to the line, making plays. And he's worked hard with the first base coach, David Macias. So we don't need a left fielder. We may need a left fielder next year because they're going to have to come to some kind of deal with Gavin Sheets to bring him back. But we need another bat. We need a designated hitter. That's what we need. We need a designated hitter that can do some damage. And maybe if you got an idea out there, type it in. Who should they go get? Who should they go get as the DH? I remember when the DH first started, they normally had old veteran guys that could still hit, but they couldn't run and they couldn't throw and they couldn't field, but they could still rake. They use that DH spot a lot differently now. Bench depth. I'm all for it. This bench has got to be one of the worst the Padres have had in years. And the reason for that, I think, is because they've got so many guys on long-term contracts. I mean, the Padre payroll would choke a horse. Would absolutely choke a horse. I mean, with all the long-term deals of guys playing, not playing, we know the infield, between Cronenworth, Bogarts, Machado, ton of money. You got Tatis out there making a little bit more this year. Josh Merrill, or Jackson Merrill, I should say, going to be making more in the future. But you got Musgrove on the IL right now. You got money invested in Darvish. Got money invested. Arise, of course, only a 1 year deal. Cease and King, all those guys. And so you got a bench that's not very good. Okay, so you're going to need to add to the bench. Boy, I would love for a guy a couple of years ago if he'd have come through. He didn't really do all that much here, but a Brandon Drury type of guy, a guy that's a veteran that can play some different spots, DH, play second, play first, maybe play left field. But the bench depth on this team, and I hate to dog guys, and I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but the depth on the bench here for the Padres is terrible. It's not a playoff bench. Okay. Starting pitching right now, kind of all over the roadmap. I mean, we got Pavetta, Vasquez done a nice job. Cease pitching tonight. You never know what you're going to get out of him, even though the guy's got the best stuff on the staff, in my opinion. He just can't harness it. Kolek, I guess they're going to bring him back up. For the time being, they sent him down to El Paso to kind of continue to work, kind of a paperwork move there. And then you got Darvish. Darvish going to throw the second game in Washington, be his third start. We'll see what he can bring to the table. But, how much are you willing to give up for a playoff run? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't care who you bring in. I don't see this team going real deep in the playoffs this year. This is not the same upbeat, excitable ball club that we had a year ago. And maybe because of Profar. Profar was a fired up player. And he did a great job at the top of the lineup. And we can sit here and say, well, was he on the juice or he wasn't on the juice? I don't know. But I know this, the Padres were better with him on the ball club. And I just don't see giving up a whole lot to try to salvage this year. I think if they stand pat and they play up to their expectations, I think they could definitely be a wild card team. But my expectations, getting to the NLCS or getting to the World Series and winning it, I think it's a pipe dream. I just don't see it this year. Just things aren't aligning the way I would like. Jackson Merrill hadn't played great. Arise has been okay, and he'll probably hit better in the second half. Fernando, after a great start, been mediocre. I know you can look at OPS and WAR and all that. I'm watching every night. He's been okay. He hadn't been great. He not the last 2 months. He's not a superstar. The first 6 weeks, first 7 weeks, he was probably the best player in the National League, if not all of baseball. The way he was doing things, offensively, defensively, running the bases. But the last couple of months, he's been just a little bit better than average for me. And maybe I expect too much out of Fernando. But, I would love for him to hit about 290 with about 35 bombs and drive in, 90 runs. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Power numbers are way down, I think, home run wise. But, maybe the second half. I know it's getting warmer. Get those balls in the air. We'll see. But Fernando's got to play better the second half. Bogarts is continuing to do what he's doing, playing a good shortstop, swinging the bat pretty well. Maybe hit a few more home runs. That would be nice. But it is what it is. And Gavin Sheets, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing a really nice job for the Padres. Okay, let's get out a little coaches crew questions this morning. See what the fans have to say. Oh, wow. Thank you, O2RR. Very much appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Happy Friday, Coach. On July 19th, 1982, Mr. Padre made his major league debut against the Phillies and hit a double off of Sid Mondry. Yeah, he hit it in the left center field gap. Pete Rose congratulates Tony and tells him, don't try to catch me in one night. That's correct. And I was there. How about that? I had no idea Tony got called up. I was dating this woman. And I remember we were sitting on Plaza level down the right field line, and John DeMott, the PA announcer, announced that Tony Gwynn was going to play center field. And I stood up, and the lady that I was dating, she wasn't really a sports fan. She'd known me from high school and through a lot of mutual friends, and we'd been to different get-togethers. So we went to the game, and I was coaching junior college baseball at the time. And John DeMott announces Tony Gwynn. And I stand up out of my seat and I look at this young lady and I go, Tony Gwynn, he's from San Diego State. This will be his major league debut. And she looked at me and I sat back down and we watched Tony. He won, I think, 2 for 4 that night. He had another hit and he also had a sacrifice fly. But that lady coming up on August 20th of this year will be my wife of 42 years. We were dating at that time. It was one of our very, very first dates. It was the day that Tony broke into the big leagues. And yeah, it'll be 42 years on August 20th. How about that? But I remember that game like it was yesterday. And I remember Pete Rose, he trailed Tony on that double. And I remember, you didn't know what he said at the time, but, Tony talked about that many times over the years. And I think Bo Diaz, the catcher, if I'm not mistaken, Bo Diaz, he hit 2 home runs for Philadelphia, and they won that ball game. But a great memory, O2RR. Thank you very much for the super. That's very kind of you. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Never going to turn that down. Casey King, good morning, Coach, and happy Friday to you as well. With Muncy being out for a few weeks, do you think my Dodgers add a third baseman, or do they add another arm for bullpen, or both? Well, you know what? I think we might have a better idea today regarding the Dodgers. I know Blake Trinan's making progress. Blake Snell went over to Arizona to make his second rehab appearance because all the other minor league teams were shut down. Glass now, back now. Thing on Muncy, he got that bone bruise, and they say 6 weeks, but a bone bruise can be a lot longer than that. I'm kind of keeping my eye on St. Louis. Not just for the Dodgers because of Arenado, and Arenado's not having a great year. Hitting in the 240s, power numbers are down, still playing a good defensive third base, and maybe, getting out of St. Louis, going somewhere else would rejuvenate him, put him in a little bit better batting order. Yankees could be interested in him. I think the Dodgers are always going to be interested in him. There was talk maybe the Angels. I don't see the Angels wanting to take on that kind of contract right now. But I think we got to kind of wait and see, Case, where we're at right now on the 18th of July. I think we got to take a good look here and see kind of how things are going. I saw Adam Frazier got traded from the Pirates to Kansas City, I believe it was, over the All-Star break. So maybe things will start heating up this weekend and into early next week. But I could see the Dodgers looking for a third baseman. But if they really think Muncy's only going to be out about 6 weeks, they've got plenty of guys down there with that organization that they can run over there and play third base. There's no question. I mean, Kike Hernandez, even though he's not swinging the bat very well, I mean, Tommy Edman can play there. Miguel Rojas can play there. Tommy Edman not swinging the bat very well at all right now. I got to believe he may be a little bit nicked up. But they've got plenty of guys that can play down there at third base. Dodgers are going to do something. And it wouldn't surprise me if they went out to look for another starting pitcher. Keep an eye on Sandy Alcantara there with Miami. I think the Dodgers have kind of earmarked him and kind of kept their eye on him, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Casey, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Big Sam, hi, Coach. Sounds like a trade for Stephen Kwan has gotten some legs over the last few days. Would you be happy getting him on the squad, and what would you give up for him? That's an interesting one. Stephen Kwan is a heck of a player. He's a Gold Glove left fielder. He can lead off for you, left-hand hitter. He can steal a base. I think he's a great player, and I think the Padres, you're going to have to give up a little bit for him. And quite frankly, I don't know why the Guardians would want to trade him. He's a good player. I've also heard the Dodgers may be in line for him. In fact, I've heard the Dodgers, you're not going to believe this. I heard the Dodgers have been looking at Stephen Kwan and Emmanuel Clase. And Clase's led the American League in saves 3 years in a row. And we know he struggled last year in the playoffs, but the guy's still a big-time arm out of the bullpen with closer mentality. And remember, he was a minor leaguer with the Padres way back when. Stephen Kwan, if he came to San Diego, that solves a lot of problems. You put him in left, and you got a left-handed DH and Gavin Sheets. That would be a tremendous upgrade. Now, if you get him, now you're putting yourself in a position to do something really dynamic. And maybe, just maybe, if everybody else gets on board and the pitching stays healthy and the bullpen doesn't get exhausted in August and September, now you're talking about doing something dynamic in the playoffs. Because Stephen Kwan, for me, is a difference maker. I think he's a fantastic baseball player. And I think he's a high character guy. I've heard him interviewed many times. Very impressed with him. But you got to get him before the Dodgers get him because they're not uh, sold on Conforto. Conforto, man, how bad has he been? But you know what? I don't even know why they signed him. I thought that was such an odd signing. And they signed him early during free agency last winter. I've never been a Conforto fan. Going back to his early days with the Mets, I've just, for some reason, his swing looks stiff to me. He's way too patient. Man, you got to be up there ready to hit. He gets started late. I mean, rather than just letting the bat fly, everything's got to be perfect, and it hasn't worked out. They're paying him $17 million this year, and the guy finally got his batting average to 180. Finally. Yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle, man. He's been down in the 150s and 160s most of the year. So I could see them wanting to, cut bait. I mean, it is what it is. You got to pay the guy $17 million. But if you can go get Stephen Kwan and possibly Emmanuel Clase, now you're going to have to give up something dynamic for those two guys. But the Dodgers, they got plenty of money. They got plenty of money and they want to win. They're going to do everything they want to win. The one thing that we don't know about the Padres right now, folks, I know AJ Preller wants to win. I know Mike Schill wants to win. I know we as fans want to win. But does ownership want to win? We don't know. We're gonna find out a lot about the Padre ownership over the next 2 weeks. We really are. Are they in it to win it? Or are they just gonna kind of sit here and look at one another and kind of play out the string? You tell me. I think we're going to find out a lot about what direction this franchise is going in the next 12, 13 days, whether or not they're willing to go out and spend some money to bring in some top-notch players. And somebody said, well, the Padres don't have a lot to give up. No, they don't have a lot to give up. But they've got some guys, aside from DeVries and Salas, and I don't know when Salas is going to play again. But they've got, 3 or 4 other guys I think teams would be interested in. You're probably going to have to give them up to get something. But if you get Quan or, one of a guy like that to play left field, I mean, that upgrades your roster a great deal. Now, or you could go the easy way and go after the guys that are going to have expiring contracts and you don't give up a whole lot. You take on a little bit of salary. But if you don't have the guys the other team wants and they're trying to shed salary, you got to take on money. And I don't know if the Padres are willing to do that right now. I think they want to get rid of money. Who knows? Maybe they're going to trade Dylan Cease. If they don't think they can make a run, then maybe they trade him. If they really believe that they cannot make a run, I'd trade everybody that you can't sign. I don't know. Are they going to make a run into Rise? I don't know if they're going to go after Luis. I'd like to see him come back. But I also think a non-power hitting first baseman is a luxury on a ball club. You got to make that power up in some other spot on your ball club. And if everybody did what they're supposed to do, then you could probably have a catalyst like a Rise hit at the top of the lineup. But you're not getting a lot of power out of Cronenworth home run wise. You're not getting a lot of power home run wise out of Bogarts. You're really not getting a whole lot of home run power out of Jackson Merrill this year. You got 7 home runs. He's got 2 more than a Rise. And a Rise is considered a punch and Judy hitter. And you get nothing out of the catching spot. So that's kind of where we're at. But Stephen Kwan, hell of a player. But I've heard the Dodgers are looking at him and Emmanuel Clase. So, and the Dodgers probably have a whole lot more to give up than the Padres do at this point in time. They'd probably give up a couple of those young guys, maybe on the big league roster. Casey King, maybe Padres go after J.D. Martinez if he wants to still play. Well, I think he's hitting in a batting cage somewhere, but you know what? I'm not going to go that direction. I mean, 2 years ago, J.D. Martinez did a great job for the Dodgers. And then last year he played for the Mets. He was okay, but he hadn't played all year. I mean, I think I'll pass on that one, Case. I think I'll pass on that one. Okay, what else we got here? Shep. Pirate said he's untouchable, but I like McCutcheon's the cheap ad. Hits over 300 versus lefties and fits the mold of how you described old DHs. Okay, from a baseball fan standpoint, I don't want McCutcheon to come here. And it's nothing against Andrew McCutcheon. I love him as a player. But stay and finish your career with the Buccos. And who knows, the way he's performed this year, he'll probably come back and play again next year. As long as he wants to play, he had to be in a Pittsburgh uniform. I mean, he bounced around there for a few years. Stay with Pittsburgh. And I don't think you'd have to give up a whole lot if you were able to get McCutcheon, but stay in Pittsburgh. And that's nothing against him. It's just I want to take care of the Pittsburgh fans. I had a gentleman yesterday. I got to share this, and I've actually got to type him back a note today, and he may be watching the show. Was sending his condolences to me on Dave Parker passing away because everybody knows that I was a big Dave Parker guy, and I had the opportunity to interview the Cobra about 2.5, 3 years ago, and he was dealing with Parkinson's at that point in time, and but anyway, we didn't talk about that day, but he was a great, engaging interview. It was fantastic. And this gentleman asked me, why did you like Dave Parker so much? And, I sat and thought about this last night. And I think the reason I liked him, number one, I liked the Pirates in general as a kid. And they were one of the great teams to go out to Qualcomm Stadium to watch. But you had to get there early because you wanted to watch them take batting practice. I mean, think about the guys they had on that team. I mean, they had Willie Stargell, one of my all-time favorite players. They had Al Oliver. Nobody ever hit a ball back up the middle harder than Al Oliver. Richie Ziss, Manny Sanguian, Dave Parker. I mean, they always had dudes that could hit. Phil Garner, who played third, and then when he left, they brought in the Mad Dog, Bill Madlock, a two-time National League batting champion. Ed Ott, a veteran catcher, left-hand hitter. They always had dudes that could hit. But Parker had style, he had grace, he had flair, he had swagger, and he was a big guy like me. Parker was about 6'5", 235 pounds in his prime. Later, his weight got higher. But I don't know. I guess maybe because he was a big guy like me, because I'm 6'7", and I was growing up during the Dave Parker era playing ball. And Winfield, I enjoyed watching play. But one thing about Dave Parker, man, he just had a lot of swagger. He had different mannerisms, and it was just really cool to watch him play. Reggie Jackson was another one of my favorite players. Of course, Willie Mays, Vladimir Guerrero, Sr., those are the type of guys I liked. And, I love Johnny Bench because I caught for a long period of time. But for some reason, and I never really played the outfield very much, but I like these guys who were outfielders that could flat out hit. I mean Parker and Winfield. I mean, you can't get much better than that. And Willie Stargell, I remember carrying his baseball card around in my wallet because I didn't have a driver's license when I was in seventh grade. And you have your wallet where you could put like a driver's license if you were old enough. My driver's license, my ID was Willie Stargell's baseball card. So I mean, I was just kind of a geek when it came to baseball. I don't think kids that I went to school with thought I was a geek, but I just love baseball, and I still love baseball at 67 years of age. But now I'd like to see McCutcheon stay with Pittsburgh. Would he help the Padres? Absolutely, 100%. But you know what? I'm a kind of traditionalist. I think he belongs in a Pittsburgh Pirate uniform. Now, if he wanted to come to San Diego, finish the year, and then go back to Pittsburgh as a free agent, go for it. All right, what else we got question wise? We got to get to the American League standings. Let's get to the American League standings. Okay, you know what? I got to be honest with you. The last 2 days have been tough. The last 2 days after the All-Star game, Wednesday and Thursday is tough. They don't have the double A game or the triple A games on anymore. They used to always have those on during the All-Star break, so we'd have a little baseball. I watched girls softball last night. Athletics Unlimited. I watched a girls softball game last night. Well, actually, a women's softball game, very high caliber, I might add. And I also watched NBA Summer League. Summer League this year hadn't been as good. I don't know why. Teams look a little bit ragged to me. But anyways, let's take a look at the American League standings. We're going to get to wild card in the American League as well as National League standings and National League wild card. But right now, in the American League East, Day by day by day, it's interesting to see what comes out of New York. But the Yankees right now, 2 games back of Toronto. I don't know if Toronto can hang on. They've been one of those teams the last few years you thought were going to make a run, and now finally they're actually in first place. So 2 game lead. Boston, they enter today with a 10-game winning streak. 3 games back. Tampa Bay hanging in there, 5.5 back. And then you got maybe the most disappointing team in baseball this year, the Baltimore Orioles. American League Central, Detroit Tigers, they got the best record in baseball right now at 59-38. They very well may have the best pitcher in baseball in Tarek Skubal. That division is over. Stick a fork in everybody else. 11.5 back are the Twins, 12 back Kansas City. Guardians, they might as well start peddling players. They're 12 games back. And then the White Sox, 27 games back. In the American League West, I think Houston's going to win it. I just don't think Seattle's got enough offense to get back in. Don't count out the Rangers. I think the Rangers could make a wild card, but they're still struggling to get back to 500. Angels hanging in there. You know what? Angels are playing as well as they can. They really played well in the first half. They are what they are, but you know what? They show up and they make you beat them every night. They don't beat themselves too often. 47-49, and the Athletics sitting at 41-57. Let's take a look at the American League wild card now and see where we're at with that. All right, you got the New York Yankees leading the wild card right now, 2 games up. You got Boston, you got Seattle, but then you got a host of teams. Tampa Bay, a game and a half out. Tampa Bay, thing about them, they play good, consistent baseball week in and week out. Rangers hanging in there. I think Texas, Chris Young, Boats, they're going to do something dynamic at the trading deadline. 3.5 games back. Angels, 4 games back. Minnesota, 4 games back. The Royals, another team that's been disappointing this year, 4.5 back along with the Guardians. So we'll see. I think the race in the American League going to be fascinating. It really could come down to what team is willing to make, some real good moves prior to the trading deadline. Okay, let's get to the National League. All right, Phillies, half game up on the Mets. I like the Phillies. Everybody loves the Mets, but I like the Phillies. Everybody else also Rams, Miami, Atlanta, Washington. National League Central going to be a great race. I do believe with the Cubs and Milwaukee, that could go either way. Could come down to what GM makes a big move to get a little added help for their ball club. Cardinals, I think, are going to stay in the wild card running, but I don't see them getting back in the division race. And of course, out west, you got the Dodgers starting the second half, 5.5 up on the Padres, 6 up on San Francisco. In Arizona, they're going to have to make some decisions about what they want to do. They got a host of guys that are going to become free agents at the end of the year. So if they don't claw back to the 500 mark here in the next week, they're probably going to start peddling guys like Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, possibly Eugenio Suarez. Who knows? Maybe the Dodgers will go after Eugenio Suarez. Wouldn't that be something if they got him and then they get Max Muncy back? Wow. That would be an upgrade on their bench as well, and their bench is really still pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at the wild card in the National League. All right, Milwaukee, 4 games up. They're a solid ball club, and they got a deep bullpen. I mean, they got a powerhouse bullpen. Mets, Padres clinging to a half-game lead over San Francisco, a game and a half lead over the Cardinals. Cincinnati Reds, I don't see the Reds really being a player. I just don't have a lot of confidence in that team from one day to the next. But they are right now over 500, 2.5 back. Diamondbacks 5.5 back, and everybody else back in the pack. So those are the standings right now. All right, what do we got now? We got to get to some Aztec football today, don't we? Yeah, we got to get to some Aztec football. But you know what? I'm going to give you the pitching matchups first. I'll give those to you. Okay, tonight, July 18th, Friday, 3:45. Pretty good matchup. Two pitchers that got good stuff when they're on. Padres goal right-hander Dylan Cease, 3-9 in a 4.88, going against veteran right-hander, former Atlanta Brave Mike Soroka, 3-7 in a 5.35. Soroka probably pitched better than that 5.35 ERA and a 3-7 record, but we'll see tonight. Could be a great matchup, or both guys could be out of there by the 5th inning. Saturday, 3:45. Yu Darvish making his third start. Yu 0-1 and a 6.48 ERA, going against Washington left-hander Mitchell Parker 5-10 and a 5.12 ERA. And then the final game of the series on Sunday, Padres will go with right-hander Nick Pivetta, who should have been on the All-Star team, 9-2 and a 2.88, going against the guy that was on the All-Star team, left-hander and former Padre Mackenzie Gore, 4-8 and a 3.02. Padres, they have no off days on this trip. They got 3 in Washington, then they're down in Miami for 3 games, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then a 4-game series in St. Louis next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the Padres back home Monday night, July 28th, to start a 3-game series against the New York Mets, followed by a 3-game series on August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd against the St. Louis Cardinals. So Padres, they get one off day, I believe, over the next couple of weeks. So they've got, 16 games in 17 days. So they got to be ready to roll. Okay, we got to get to Aztec football. I read this in the paper the other day, and I've been kind of keeping my eye on it. You go back 2 years ago, Brady Hoke's final year, they were 4-8. Last year, under Sean Lewis' first year, a lot of things to navigate. And of course, Brady Hoke's last couple of years, they recruited squat. And Sean Lewis had to pay the price for that. And then at the end of the year, they lost a ton of guys to the transfer portal. It's just the way it is right now. And this is the final year for the Aztecs in the Mountain West Conference. And they go to the Pac-12. That could be very interesting. That could be very interesting for all the schools, except maybe Boise State. But the other day at Aztec Media Day, for the conference over in Las Vegas, they picked Boise State for the 15th straight year to win the Mountain West Conference. Now, when Rocky Long was here, they won the conference, I think, 4 different times, or won, their division 4 different times, and they had some conference titles. Rocky did a great job here. Didn't play, exciting brand of football, but they won football games. Well, the Aztecs this year were Boise State, I mentioned, predicted to win the conference for the 15th straight year. San Diego State, the prediction is that, and this is by all the media votes and all that, to come in 8th place in a 12-team conference. Not very good. Not very good. And I would hope that they would be able to overcome that. I mean, when you look at it, you got Boise State, UNLV, San Jose State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Air Force, Hawaii, San Diego State, and then underneath them, you got Utah State, Wyoming, New Mexico, and Nevada. Okay, and if you look a little bit deeper, you got Boise State going to the Pac-12. You've got Colorado State going to the Pac-12, Fresno State going to the Pac-12, Utah State going to the Pac-12, and San Diego State going to the Pac-12. Well, it looks like to me, if you take Oregon State, Washington State, and what's coming in, you could have Texas State. Looks like the Aztecs next year will probably be picked like second to last in the Pac-12. How's that going to go? I mean, what are they going to do this year? They got to do more than 3-9. 4-8 to me isn't even acceptable. You got to be at least 500 this year, don't you? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I don't know what kind of support San Diego State football is getting. I know basketball gets a lot of support. I have no idea what the administration is doing regarding football. You would think they'd want that football team to just come out of the tunnel and be ready to kick rear end. But I don't know if they're really getting a lot of support from the administration with their football program right now. I don't know where it's at. I hear all kinds of things constantly about the basketball program, but I don't hear squat about football. And I hope Sean Lewis and the football program aren't on an island by themselves out there. I mean, you got to get NIL money, and I don't care how you get it. You got to be able to find a way to get NIL money. And, the great thing is I was looking at the conference. What's very interesting is the Defensive Player of the Year, Trey White, for San Diego State. Preseason Defensive Player of the Year, Trey White, who had a great year last year, kind of a slash defensive end, stand-up linebacker, gets to the quarterback. He's a preseason Defensive Player of the Year, and their field goal kicker, Gabriel Placentia, uh, voted as the kicker of the year, I believe it is. So we got some guys that are known pretty well and considered very highly by coaches and people in the conference. But the team, we don't know enough about the team. They got so many new players. That's okay. You could sneak up on some people. And I'm looking forward to their first game, August 28th. They got Stony Brook. It's going to be on a Thursday night. I don't know what time the game is going to be. I haven't seen. Could be at 7:30 or could be at 6 o'clock. I don't know. TBA, to be announced. But I want to see Aztec football do well. But right now, maybe they can creep up on people because nobody's expecting squat out of them. 4-8 2 years ago under Brady Hoke, 3-9 under first-year head coach Sean Lewis. New quarterbacks coming in, a lot of new players coming in. A lot of players went out the door. Some of them you kind of wanted them to go out the door, like a 3-9 team. And there were some good players that left as well. But we'll see where this goes. But we're going to be covering and talking a lot about Aztec football throughout the course of the college football season. Yeah, I want to get to Coach's mailbag. See what we got today on this. The practicing guitarist Tatis Machado going 0 for 4 with 4 Ks and Morejon and Suarez blowing the lead is so 2025 Padres. Well, what do you want me to say? The truth hurts, huh? But hey, you know what? Hopefully they get back on track this weekend in Washington. That's all I can say. That wasn't a very good performance. Fernando did walk. He did steal a base, did score a run, and also made a very nice play in the outfield, cutting that ball by Cal Raleigh off in the gap to hold him to a single because the next hitter got a base hit, and Raleigh was only able to get to third base. He'd have been able to score on that ball if Fernando wouldn't have cut the ball off to hold him at first base. But I agree with you on that. Jim Ford, what do the Padres need to do better the second half of the season? Well, number one, don't exhaust your pitching staff, your bullpen. Starters need to go a little bit longer in ball games. You need to get something out of Darvish. Right now, he's trying to get his feet wet back in the big leagues. It'd be nice if Michael King would come back. That would be like trading for somebody at the trading deadline. You got to get another catcher. You can't keep both of these guys the remainder of the year. One guy's got to go. And it really doesn't matter to me at this point. Both of them are hitting under 200. Diaz is a little bit better hitter, but you're still hitting under 200 than Maldonado. And I just continue to look to upgrade the bench. You got a lot of guys on the bench right now that probably should be in AAA, unfortunately, but they're on our roster, and we're counting on them. And I'd like to see some of the veteran guys, get a little more time off the second half, make them a little fresher. I mean, Bogart's, man, he's been out there a lot. And I'd like to utilize Iglesias a little bit. He's starting to swing the bat better, and he's not going to hurt you defensively. He's as good a defender as the Padres have, including Machado. I mean, Jose Iglesias is a hell of a defender, and it doesn't matter where you play him. It's second, short, or third. He made some fantastic plays down at third when they've given Manny a day off to DH. But I'd just like to see everybody do a little bit better, and then they'll probably win a wild card. But I don't see this team winning the World Series nor getting to the World Series this year. Now, if you made a deal to get a guy like Stephen Kwan to upgrade left field and put Gavin Sheets as the designated hitter, now your lineup's a little bit tougher, especially if you were able to, get a catcher that could hit 230. I'm not asking to find a catcher that can hit 250, hit 220, 230. That'd be 40 to 50 points better than the guys you got right now. That's big. What else we got today? Coach's mailbag. William S.D., this year feels different as far as A.J. making moves. He has to have his hands tied somehow. I got to believe that's the case. He wasn't very active during the offseason. He brought in Nick Pivetta. They got Gavin Sheets on a minor league contract. He signed the left-hander, Kyle Hart from the KBO. I think he's limited. I think AJ's limited. He's probably like a cat on a hot tin roof right now wanting to do something, but we're going to find out, like I said, we're going to find out a lot about this ownership. And the way the fans have provided for the Padres coming through the turnstiles. Over 2 million, well over 2 million so far this year. Ownership needs to step it up. But I will also say this. You go back to what I said. Since May 1st, the Padres are 33-33. They're a 500 ball club. They've got to show ownership that this team can make a run. And if they're floundering around and they have a 4-6 road trip or 5-5 road trip and it's getting close to the trading deadline, they may see what I'm seeing right now. This team's not good enough to win the World Series. And if you're not good enough to win the World Series, don't give up some of your young guys. And you're going to lose a bunch of guys to free agency as well. You can give them qualifying offers and get a 4th-round draft pick. Padres are up against it right now. They really are. Their farm system's not deep. They got a bunch of free agents, and I don't know where ownership's at right now. So a lot of things going on with this organization right now. A lot of things going on with the organization. All right, I think that does it for today. Okay, again, the Delmar Thoroughbred Club, 2:00 Friday afternoon today. Opens up. Padres 3-game series starting tonight in Washington. Then they go on to Miami, and then they finish up next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in St. Louis. And St. Louis vying for a wild card. That's going to be a critical series. But at this point in time, everything's critical. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. And make sure you tell a friend. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We'll be back in on Monday morning at 9 o'clock with San Diego Sports Talk, the John Kentera Show. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. And again, thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.